What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. If you're watching, you're going to see Alex very carefully sitting down, and this episode might have what's the warning they put in front of movies? It's like mature content or adult viewer discretion is advised. I wouldn't watch this one or listen to this one with your kids, maybe. Anyways, now that warning's out of the way, how's it going?
feeling some things. I am feeling some things.
Oh my goodness!
We need to improve these chairs.
What do you? We need to cut out an opening in the middle of it.
Yeah.
What are you feeling, Alex? What's the word?
What's the word?
Alex had a little procedure done.
Yeah, we kept defying all the medical odds of having children, so I figured I would lessen my odds of future children, and went and saw the doctor and got that taken care of. And now I have a much deeper appreciation for pregnant women.
Yeah.
Because
what's funny is how many times your appointment got pushed back.
Yeah.
Well, it's not funny. It's kind of funny. It was like delaying it was probably just building anticipation.
It was. So for anyone who hasn't caught on to what we're saying, I'm talking about a vasectomy. So obviously I've got 4 kids. For any newcomers, all under the age of 5, and I don't have any emotional bandwidth for any more. So we decided,
or financial bandwidth.
The twins are they're already like, it's like for breakfast. They're like, can I get a waffle, a bagel, and some pancakes?
Chicken and waffles, Dad.
I'm like, bro, 4. How you eat so much? Actually, the 2.5-year-old is eating a lot more right now too.
It's a growing boy.
Yeah, well, he's got to stick. He's got to
fight for himself.
Got to fight for himself. I mean, that kid they'll just come plow through him, bang him in the head. He pounces off a wall, and then the older boys come crying to me when he just starts pounding them. I'm like, hey, toughen up. Yeah. But anyway, so we decided like we're good. 4 boys. Don't want to try for the girl. I'm good. And so we were like, all right, let's just like make sure the littlest one, is healthy, and he's just 5 months now. So I was like, all right, we feel pretty good. We're going to give it like a few months just to make sure the baby was healthy and everything else before we kind of really close that chapter in both of our lives. And I was supposed to have the first one in September. And then they canceled that one, moved it to October, and canceled that one and moved it to November. So I was like, first off, if she gets pregnant, you were going to pay for this one, because this should not have happened, because that was my story like the past 2 times. But then, so it just kept building up. And I don't know what it is. I was trying to explain it to the wife that like, it's like you get around a fire and all of a sudden like the caveman instincts come in. You smell the fire and all of a sudden you want to like play with fire and do things. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense to you? Like the caveman
I don't know what
instincts?
You're talking about.
No.
About what? About having your balls snapped?
So we'll get there. No, I'm talking about, I'm just trying to set the stage here on like, do you understand like the caveman instincts, like tying it in, like you smell fire and it just kind of like, I don't know, just kind of like.
I mean, I feel that way every day. I want to play with fire and bang stuff with a hammer.
Exactly. So I was trying to explain to the wife, like, she's like, I mean, what? I've had like 3 C-sections, like grow up. And I'm like, I get it. Like, but there's something about knowing that a doctor is going to come in and just mess with your man stuff and like permanently cut off the fact that you can't like procreate or anything else, that like just goes back to those like caveman instincts where you're like, is he really going to do that? Am I really about to cut
I don't
things?
understand the caveman analogy. To me, it sounds like I'm not supposed to get my wife pregnant, so I'm going to try to get her pregnant. But I don't think that's what you're trying to say.
No, I'm saying like just going back in time, like it's like just procreate, and it's like kind of that instinct of like, it's just like why like you get like, it's always like every man, if you talk about you're nuts, like
hitting the junk.
Yeah, you're like every man can just relate with like, ooh, don't like you get flicked there like just like this, it's like agonizing pain, you fall over, and you know what I mean. Like I'm just saying, like there's just something about messing with your
junk.
Family jewels that just stir up a
wanna
lot
play
of
with fire.
emotion that we're just, I feel like just connects back to like the way like the brain's wired as it relates to that particular piece of equipment.
Oh, I could definitely relate to
That's
like
what I'm
the
going with.
emotions and the like.
That's
I
what I'm
mean,
saying.
you
But I feel like
talking.
it.
Well, here's the thing. I think I know what you're trying to say now, because when I was like, all right, so how'd it go? You're like, all right, so imagine that Kendall just kicked you in the balls like 5 minutes ago. You know that like throb that you continue to feel? It's like, it's felt like that for 2 days now. It's like,
No.
I've just got kicked in the nuts 5 minutes ago for 2 days.
Yeah, and it still kind of feels like that. And I haven't had, so
So you're
It's,
looking for that now. So I guess when you were saying that, like I could internalize that feeling. I'm like, oh, I'm starting to feel it while he's talking about
Yeah.
it. You know, like,
But
right,
that's what I'm
Trav?
saying,
Like
like-
you talk about someone getting kicked in the balls, and
Yeah,
suddenly
just-
you feel like you
You're
just
like,
got
"Oh."
kicked, and you're like, oh yeah, I can feel that.
that's what I'm saying. Like there's just like a underlying just sort of, I feel like it's almost like a genetic makeup of like you just talk about the family jewels to like another male, and you're like, you could instantly like, yeah, like I'm overprotective of that. And
Yeah. No,
I'm,
I get
so that it's those kinds of feelings where I'm like I'm going like I'm going there and we're doing this thing and we're gonna, I know I'm inflicting pain there, and like that's the last thing I want to do. But again, the wife's like, I've had 3 C-sections, shut up.
I just still don't understand the caveman thing, but hey, I get it. I don't want my balls messed up either, or
I
at
don't-
least
I mean,
sliced apart.
Is it just that weird in my head the way I'm thinking about it?
I must.
I just feel like it stirs up some of like those like generational emotions is what I'm going for. Travis, am I crazy?
I get it. No, I
Okay.
I don't know why he doesn't.
Yeah, you just like I could talk to my great grandfather and been like, let's talk about getting kicked in the nuts and like everything that means, and he'd be like, oh, I got you.
I
I'm with
get
you.
that. I don't understand playing with fire.
I was saying like if you're around a fire, it seems like something triggers in your brain that like is just part of the genetic makeup of like fire. Like the caveman discovered.
All right, it's over my head, I guess. I don't know. I'm an
Moving
idiot.
on.
Okay.
Next.
Anyway, so got pushed back 3 times. I've got a lot more respect for pregnant women, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because it's like I swear, like I never drop things, and like every day now, it's like I gotta bend over, like son of a. And like, of course, the wife's like, yeah. Now imagine like a bowling ball, and you have to do that for like at the end of it for like those last 3
Months.
months. I'm like, yeah, I got a lot more respect for you now.
Hey, I haven't been giving Brandy no respect. I'm just kidding. I have a lot of respect for her, but like I'm pick on her so hard. She's, first trimester, no energy, doesn't want to get out of bed, struggling for life. I'm like, what are you doing? Just been lazy all day? You ain't doing anything? It's like, that's a good way to get kicked in the face.
Or
Or yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty funny. So
But yeah, so it's just like it's so like the secret sauce that I figured out is, and after talking to some people that have had it too, it's like it's a weird feeling for me because I'm a doer. Like I
Yeah.
get up and do. I play with my kids. I do all this stuff, and it was like literally like just sit, and you'll be fine. Assuming
unless
the
you-
doctor did their job
unless you,
well.
like, see or smell a fire, then you're gonna have to go mess with that. Fire.
Exactly. That's I made
had
sure I
to bring
stayed
it full
indoors.
circle. I had to bring it
But
back.
so it was like assuming the doctor did everything properly and everything was good in that front. It was just like just sit and don't move, because when you sit and don't move, get your ice pack, bag of peas, whatever, and you're on the couch, you're like, oh, like for
I feel
me,
pretty
like
good.
it was like this really isn't that bad. Like almost to the point where I was feeling guilty, like here the wife is like trying to wrangle 3 kids and do all this other stuff, and I'm just like hanging on the couch working, and I don't feel anything
Bad.
at that
Yeah.
moment in time, just a little bit of ibuprofen for some, and mix in like maybe an occasional Tylenol. But then like you get up and you start to move, you're like, oh, okay, it starts to feel a little like uncomfortable. And then the thing I could relate for anyone who like lifts weight or something, it's that feeling like if you need to bend over and grab something in those like initial first few days, it's like you feel like as you're like for me, like you do a deadlift and like you're like, ooh, that feels like I'm exaggerating, but it's like, ooh, is that gonna? I feel like something's gonna rip and I'm gonna have like an instant hernia kind of feeling. It was those moments where you're like, yep, I'm just gonna
leave that.
I dropped that and it's gonna be there. Hey, Nico, can you
That's
pick
what
that
kids
up?
are for.
Can you grab that and give that to
Can
Daddy?
you
That'd
take
be great.
my sock off, please?
Oh, that was funny. I was trying to put shoes on. It's just all like everything. You're like, oh, again, relating it back to like I understand pregnant women now a little, very little bit, but it's like, oh, that must have been annoying as heck because you're like, can I put my shoes on? Do that today, you know what I mean? I gotta put pants on today. Actually, I was wearing house shoes. I got made fun of that at a meeting I did on Tuesday. I was like, came in sweatpants. Everyone else was like showered and everything else, and I'm like, I got sweatpants and like house shoes on. They're like, I'm like, don't judge me, don't judge me.
Screw that.
But no, thankfully, as long as you kind of just relax and chill, it's really not that bad. It's just uncomfortable, and I still don't. So like for me, it was like, don't try not to pick up anything for like a week, like 10 pounds, kind of stuff, and then so I'll probably pick up the littlest one, like starting today. I'll probably pick them up. But again, it's that like reaching over the crib and doing those little movements.
Like
it's just
leverage on your
like if I had to do it, you do it. I don't feel like I'm going to do any like the damage, but it definitely is like,
well, you're mindful of it, which is good because a lot of people will overdo it, and that's when you run into the complications and problems and etc.
So it was like the last thing I need for my family right now is like to go through this like week and then be on the couch like next week. It's like, I'm like, let's just
do it right the first time.
Do it right the first time. So, but the experience was quite.
Oh, I think we should hear all about it because it is very exciting.
So, like everyone's like, so they give you like, again, guys, obviously, because we're talking about family jewels, and again, you could just talk about getting hit with a soccer ball. There, we all kind of flinch, and it was like, so what kind of pain meds did they give you? I'm like, nothing. They give you a Valium, one Valium beforehand. That's it. I'm like, can I get a Valium the night before, during, and the day after,
please?
Just so I can kind of be cruising on, a little bit of the happy pills. Come on, man. So, but apparently the Valium's to like almost calm the nerves. So like when they're cutting, like your nerves aren't twitching, even if you can't feel it because of like they lidocaine to like numb the areas.
They do a local anesthetic right in your balls. I mean, let's just come on. We're a bunch of adults here, Alex.
Yeah, we are. But I'm telling it's just okay.
So they numb
they
nuts.
Do. Yeah.
What's up, numb nuts?
It takes on new meaning. But of course, the doctor's like, so you're like, you take your Valium and you're starting to just relax. Like it's not the wife's like, I thought you'd be like more fun. I'm like, sorry, disappointed. It's not like the laughing gas, with like the wisdom teeth or something. You're like, yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm just kind of chilling. But so like, I hadn't actually met the doctor, mind you, like been pushed back. And of course,
well, hold on. Let's talk about being pushed back real quick because this was like a funny moment for me. We did the My Baby announcement all over social that day. And I was like, all right, baby announcements live. Everybody knows. And then you're like, you made a joke to me like, oh, you're having a baby? Because this was like our internal Slack message.
Oh yeah.
And like, because we started talking about it in Slack and stuff, and then a few people like Cassie were like, wait, Beav's having a baby? We did. Apparently a few people in the company didn't know. We were like, oh, we thought we told everybody, sorry. So then Alex makes a smart ass comment. He's like, oh, you're having a baby? I was like, oh no, your baby announcement, you're having a baby, surprise. This is like the day before he goes in for vasectomy.
For the like third time.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So
let me tell you, Emily and I started to plan a little prank on you because we were going to take Brandy's positive pregnancy test. I was going to give it to Emily, and Emily was going to be like, how funny would that have been?
That would have not been funny.
We were together one time. I don't know if she was here or something. I mentioned it to her. She was like, yes, please save one for me. Because I had like 9 of them that were positive. And I was like, I've got you, girl. God,
I do not even know what I do. Oh my God. I'm getting like,
how funny would that have been, dude?
We should have like, you so should have had like a heart monitor on me right now. Actually, I think I got one on. But I don't know what my what does my watch say?
She
Oh
was
my
like, I
gosh.
can't believe it's been delayed. Da, da, da. She's like, I kind of want to like, I'm like, oh, I got you. I got like 9 positive pregnancy tests. She's like, please. And then we never followed through because
Good, because I probably would have had to kill someone.
It would have been the funniest
For you.
It would have been it would have been on America's Funniest Home Video somehow.
Do they still do that, by the way?
No.
That's sad.
Bob Saget actually talked about it on a pod. He was on Joe Rogan. Bob Saget was. It was really interesting. He's doing a podcast now, but anyways, I don't remember all the details, but he talks about it, and it was interesting because he was having this like internal battle because he was doing America's Funniest Home Videos while also being like a stand-up comic, and he's like really raunchy. So he's like known publicly on TV as like the home video guy.
Yeah.
Family friendly.
And the Olsen twins.
Oh yeah, Full House,
Full
all
House.
that stuff. But he's like this super raunchy stand-up comedian, and he talks about it. Anyway, super interesting. Go check it out if you haven't. Joe Rogan, Bob Saget. Anyways, that was like the slowest dying bug ever.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to kill this like gnat that is flying around our studio.
Anyways,
And we are not ninjas.
I'm not a ninja.
Actually,
today.
I'm very good with like flies. Like I've caught a few with like
Really?
yeah.
I wear my fly swatter hat. I usually take my hat off.
Whack.
Yeah, it's pretty effective. Generally, hold on. I'm gonna get that.
Yeah,
sucker.
yeah. Except when it lands on like my face.
Got it.
Mhm.
What's right between your legs? Don't move.
Yeah, exactly. Funny, dude. I literally, I don't know what I would have done if you would have tried to pull that prank on me. I probably would have passed out.
So
I would have passed out.
The problem is Alex.
Yeah, and then you would have bumped your head.
Alex has vendetta like you wouldn't believe. Like he'll get you like 5 years from now and be like, "Remember that time?" You're like, fuck, man, like, you didn't have to go that far with it. Anyways, so you scheduled it. You hadn't met the doctor.
Yeah.
Back on track here.
Yeah. So we scheduled it and met with the PA, and they like kind of explained it to me. Like, oh yeah, come in next like in a few weeks, and we'll wham bam, thank you, ma'am. I'm like, okay, can I get a little more detail? Like, yeah, we could be fine. Quite the detail I was looking for. And then it got postponed. We finally did it. So I hadn't met the doctor yet. We walk in, and there's a female nurse who's kind of takes the vitals, especially with COVID, like temperature and everything else. And I was like, oh great. So I had some fuel socks that say D's nuts on the bottom because I had to be 13. And so I put the socks on, and I actually put the feet up in the stirrups, and like the nurse is getting all into the photo, like taking all these different angles and stuff.
Yeah.
And because I was like, well, I might as well just live it up the best I can because
You only get to do that.
I only get to do it once. So I'm laying, I'm like laid, you get undressed and you're laying down on the table. Another nurse walks in, and then the doctor walks in, and because they soldered after they do some cutting, they got to ground you. And so like put the little sticker thing on the side,
little ground strap.
The little ground strap. The guy goes to turn it on to use it, doesn't turn on. like oh yeah, we had like an electrical like breaker like blow earlier today. And then the doctor goes to get a lamp and starts plugging it into the different outlets to see which outlet works. And then like plugs it into that one. He's like, oh, this will be fine. I'm like, bro, whoa. The last thing I want to do, like while I'm getting like cut up, I don't want to blow a breaker and get like electrocuted down there, man. Like this is like the Valium is not strong enough for what you were trying to tell me might or might not happen. He's like, oh, it's fine. I've done like 10,000 of these. I'm like, okay. So 2 minutes later, he's like, you're gonna feel a small prick, and starts putting shots. I'm like, oh, that's okay. That's
so how bad? Okay, so this is for real because I think everybody that hasn't had a vasectomy is probably like, what in there if they're considering it, what does this actually feel like? Is it like a pinch, like, or is it like getting kicked in the balls, like the initial like lidocaine needle situation? What are we working with?
It's like it's a very uncomfortable needle, like it's like that weird pinch pressure that you just don't want to feel down there, and then it goes away in about like 10-15 seconds.
Okay.
so it's like that initial kind of like, like I don't know, like I'm not very good with IVs. I've had bad instances as a kid, so I got to get that numb before they do it. But I'm talking to a man who's got
Covered in
tattoos.
tattoos.
So
I'm terrified of needles.
But it's like, I don't know if you've ever had like a bad IV where it kind of goes in and then they like, oh, they don't get it, and they pull, like,
Hey,
it's that
I had
awkward
to- I had
pressure
to
where you're
help-
like, okay, like, can you stop? It's that.
Yeah.
Because again, like, I think the Valium at least calms you down enough, because it was like buildup. It was really like the biggest, like, again, to my caveman analogy or metaphor or whatever that English term is that you're don't comprehend, and probably everyone else listening is like,
What an idiot.
but I'm okay with it. Like that buildup, it's just uncomfortable.
Yeah,
it's just
and
a
I
very
imagine
it's
the
like
Valium is to help you relax down there so that you're not all tight and like
it actually one,
helps with the
yes,
surgery.
and two, it's because again, so now if you're relaxed and numb, the nerve endings will still twitch. So the idea is if the Valium relaxes that, so they won't twitch as much, so the doctor can do his business. And
so interesting.
And then you work on the right side, you work on the left side, and it's like very small
incision,
little incision,
couple stitches.
Yep. But for me, of course, like he hits me up and he's like, all right, you ready?
You're like, I don't know if I can be ready for this.
I met you 5 minutes ago. Let's just
your
do
hands are a
this.
little cold.
Like, can we just start and get this over with? And,
Well,
and just
you
so you
didn't
know,
make
so
eye
it's about
contact, did you?
I had like a conversation with this cat for like 25 minutes. Like 25 minutes is laying down on this cold like table in an office. I'm like, I met you 5 minutes ago. You're just playing with all the parts, and
He didn't even whine you or dine you or nothing, huh?
nothing.
Man.
All I got was the value. And so, so I'm like, so he's like, all right, well let's get started. I'm like, oh, wonderful. And so I feel like the initial kind of like like pressure. I'm like, ooh. He's like, oh, you feel that? I'm like, yes. He's like, but is it pain? Like, is it sharp? I'm like, no, it's just uncomfortable. It's like, well, I'll give you a little bit more. Okay. And so then it's like every time he does it, I'm still like, I'm still twitching.
Be careful.
And he's like, do you still feel that? I'm like, yeah, bro.
On my junk.
Yes, I feel that. He's like, man, like most people with as much as like I shot you up around that, and like with the Valium, like they don't flinch. They just feel the pressure, and they put like clamps, and I'm like, he's like, you must be super sensitive to it. I'm like, oh, peachy, like because we got a whole nother side to do. So for me, the whole time it's literally like. During that time, it's just like awkward pulls. Like again, like your kid just kicked you in the nuts, and then like you're like just starting to feel a little bit better, and then the other kid rounds the corner and slaps you. And you're like, oh, and again, not enough where you're like physically not immobile or something, but it's like the whole time you're just like, oh, just that.
It's that feeling that's like for guys that can relate. It's like
yeah, well,
because
the nerve endings go like into your go up
into your pelvis area,
and so like you're like, oh, like I feel it like. Up high, like again, like when you get hitting the nuts, it's like a gradually just raises through your body, and you're like, oh, it's like it feels like that, but it's just uncomfortable, not like giving birth. I imagine from what I've seen,
not
like a C-section.
You don't play the lottery.
I think we as again, like that part's just such a sensitive area for guys that. It's again like kind of like just uncomfortable. Like again, I can tell you it, and you can instantly feel relate to that pain just like instantly.
I've been feeling it the whole time you've been talking about it, like the last 15 minutes or something.
Imagine that. But anyways, yeah. So biggest. Oh, and then so our friend Booth shared with me the other side of just chill out for like the minimum 2 days. Just sit your happy ass on the couch. Don't move if you can. And I think that will pay dividends for like the recovery process. I was fortunate where we had good help with my parents, my in-laws. So I was in a position where I could still work. So I just sat on the couch, worked, kept my mind off it. And we were kind of good to go. It's still awkward when I'm home because I want to like go like play with my kids and like jump on the floor. And I'm like, we'll take it easy
Mm-hmm.
because it just feels uncomfortable just sitting down. But
Booth gave you some other good advice.
so Booth, we were at. I think I've actually mentioned this on the podcast
I think
previously.
you have once before.
I'll do a very short version, but he's got 5 kids, and so he finally got one, and he was just talking about, it's like, you got to get this underwear called Sax. It's like SAXX. And he's like, it's just like angels cupping your balls. And of course, he's like hollering this out when
in the
we're in
middle of
the
like
Venetian,
Vegas. Yeah.
like at some bar. He's just like hollering. And of course, like in Vegas, like no one even pays you any attention. But he's like,
just like the most
balls.
animated
And
like sales pitch of you have to buy this.
Yeah, and I was
underwear.
like, man, I gotta get these. I want angels, And so but it's funny. So I'm going to put the underwear back on. Doc's just hanging out. I'm like, hey, bro, like, we're already very intimate at this point. Doesn't really matter. And I was like, have you heard about? He's like, yeah, just make sure are those some good tight fitting underwear, because you really want to just keep everything nice and
supported,
high and tight. And I was like, yeah, have you heard about this brand Sax? Like, actually, I'm wearing them and I sell them. I was just like, you got to be kidding me. That's hilarious.
Wait, he sells them?
Yeah.
There?
Not at that, like at like another office. Like,
that is so funny.
I was like, he's like, yeah, like they're really supportive. I was like, I know. So anyway, so as a guy, like, just make sure you get
get you some Sax underwear.
Yeah, and
hashtag not sponsored.
Yeah, so yeah, just
it should be. So send us to
I need some more. But yeah, just the more you can keep less movement, let's call it, the better. But anyways, yeah, so we bonded on the way out, talking about the underwear.
Thanks, bro.
Exactly. And now here we are. Quite the adventure, but
spent like the last 30 minutes talking about your balls, Alex.
I know we definitely never thought I'd tell the world about that, but since you forced me into it,
hey, I feel like, is there like a referral discount coupon code or anything? Once my next child's born, I'll be sitting in line. Have my Sax underwear in hand, exactly. My Valium.
Yeah. So if any woman out there wants to encourage their man to go down that path, maybe your holiday stocking stuffer needs to be some Sax, and then you'll be like, and oh, by the way, I scheduled your appointment for next week.
Snip, snip. That is so funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a funny story. You probably don't think it's quite as funny.
No, it's
having experienced it.
Oh, it's just that annoying stage where you're like,
you don't feel bad, but you can't. Do
like, can we get over this so I can like just get back to like
life,
walking upstairs comfortably?
Yeah.
But
it's been pretty funny to watch you waddle around the office.
I'm here for your amusement.
I had to close the door for him in the car the other day. He's like,
it's like it's a far lunge, and I was like, man, I just don't want to get involved with that. But
I don't have anything entertaining to talk about, so I feel like the whole thing is just keep going. What else you got to talk about?
What else do I have to talk about?
I'm trying to think of what else might be good.
Oh no, I went on some rant earlier.
Brandy had an appointment today, baby appointment, week 12. Quick little checkup. I'm the kind of like I want to go to like every appointment that I can, because I'm just like that. Maybe I'm weird, or maybe I don't know, but I couldn't because the kids were at home doing virtual school today, so I had to make sure that they were logged in school and all that kind of stuff. I got tree guys at the house cutting trees down, so I had to be home. So she went and did that. We're doing the blood test for the gender.
Oh, you are doing that?
Yep.
Because you have to know. You don't want to wait till the 20-week ultrasound.
Brandy has to know. If anybody's listened to that episode, which was out last week? Was that the most recent episode? Was Brandy? No, it was Alex.
It was me.
A couple weeks ago, couple episodes ago, Brandy was on my wife talking about. It was like right after we found out. It was like the day after we found out. So I was like, we should wait to figure out the gender until it's born. She's like, do I look like the kind of person who can wait? I'm like, no.
Hey, we did.
Yeah, but you already have like 700 kids. She's like, I need to know how to decorate.
Episode.
it's really funny is like, so anyway, so she went and did that test, and so next weekish we should have some gender results. So if anybody wants to take a guess, go for it. Leave it in the comments.
Now, how do they do that?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Magic. Science. I don't know. I mean, evidently there's something in the blood work that they can test for.
Like they pull it out of like the umbilical cord?
No, I think it's just a drawn.
Oh, like from her
blood. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I have no idea. I have no clue. I don't know. I haven't really talked to her about it yet today. She just said, I took the blood test, or they took blood, and I have to wait. They said usually it's a couple days, but with COVID, it could be a week. I was like, don't let them just tell you over the phone. Like, to make them put that thing in an envelope or something and come pick it up. Like, we got to do something fun.
Yeah.
Don't just be like, oh, everything looks good and you're having a boy or whatever. I will kill somebody if that's how they do it. I'll murder them. Anyways, I was going to say something was funny. I don't remember what it was now, but I was gender. I don't remember. I had a funny thought. Something that was funny. Oh, this is what's funny. She is on the like gangbuster, she wants the most girliest diaper bags ever. She's like, I want this one. And it's like, that's right. That's why I started this company. Because you want these damn bags. She's like, is that okay? Are you going to be upset if I don't use ours? I'm like, no, I'm not going to be upset. It's the whole reason our company exists. You wanted something super girly that I wasn't willing to carry.
Yeah.
Here we are.
You did carry it.
And I did the first time, but now here we are.
Yeah.
So
you get you and I get me.
Like, wow, what a fresh reminder. Like
how there'll be a lot of fresh reminders that first baby infant squeal. Woo.
Mm-hmm.
We're going through the
black tar shits.
Well, that was the first go. I mean, that's the meconium.
Yeah.
So I heard a story that so my mother-in-law was labor and delivery, and she heard this from someone like, just in the nurses circle, that someone at like another hospital or whatever was like, they're like, oh, what are you gonna name the kid? And they're like, meconium. And it was like,
no.
They're like, please don't. And I think it was a foreign couple. And I forget what, like, I don't think they told me, just because they're like, it was a foreign couple, so like didn't quite connect the dots. And they were like, but if you're in America, like, you might want to reconsider that name because of here's why. And I don't know what ever happened of it, but it was just like, oh.
What was the other funny name that she told us about? It was like the syllables were in like such random spots, and it was like
I mean,
or Longelo,
or yeah, it was like orange, but it was like orangino. No, well, I've heard no, it was someone else saying this story that it was it reads chocolate mattress.
Oh yeah, chocolate
matrice. True story.
That's right.
But
like being in labor and delivery.
But like I got it like
funny names.
But it's one of those situations like, and I'm horrible with names anyways. Like there was a book is Joanna, and I was like Jonah, and like the wife's looking at me like, are you dumb? I'm like, apparently, sorry. Like, yes. So like, thank goodness I'm not in a profession where I have to like read people's names off, because I'd so be like, this looks like chocolate.
Chocolate matrice.
So, but anyways, to each their own.
Well, earlier it was Alex is funny because he's like, I don't want to call you dyslexic, but there's something there that's funny, because when you talk about numbers in particular, it's always something goofed up. Like instead of like 1,000, or let's say something's even earlier we were talking about cars, and he's like, yeah, because I'm looking for a new car that's gonna be bigger for the 3 kids and da for Brandy. He was like, yeah, just get her like a 2,000 something. I'm like, you mean a 2020?
Well, like in my head, I was thinking like 20, like the 20, and just.
So I was like, you mean a 2020? He's like, yeah, what I say.
Well,
like, a 2,000. I'm like, I'm not gonna go buy Brandy a 20-year-old car.
Here, I hear the safety features of the 2000 are just spectacular.
We 2000 Honda CRV. Nothing against it. I actually love those cars.
they've come a little.
Working on those cars. Bought my first house. I'm
Yeah.
very much a fan of the Honda CRV
Well, they've come a
and the
little
old
ways.
cars.
They've come a long way.
NSX is actually older than that now that I think about it. I think it's 23 years old. What a fine car it is too.
Oh, and well,
Those
you were
dang
telling me
Hondas.
like just talking about like when you mentioned like, well, I'm not gonna buy a 20-year-old car. You said like because
Oh.
like Home Alone is 30 years old, like November 8th, like the movie Home Alone, is like 30 years old, and they was like, oh, if you want to make everyone feel old,
Well, yeah, I saw a meme as Macaulay Culkin. It was like a picture of him from Home Alone and a picture now, and it's like he's like holding a sign or it's a meme or something. He was like, if you want to feel old, I just turned 40.
like and you're like, oh,
You're like, damn. And I still think the year 2000 is like yesterday.
yeah.
You know, remember when it was like the year 2000, the world's going to come to an end and computers aren't going to function because they don't like all this crazy stuff.
Y2K.
Yeah, Y2K, that's right. We were so young then that like I would love to know what the mentality of like adults were at that time. Like, did they really buy that and drink that Kool-Aid that like the world was going to end because like calendars were jumping a year, like computers weren't programmed to function past like I don't know. I just remember crazy talk like that would have been awesome if it did. I kind of wish like
If the computers stopped working,
like if everything just went to like pandemonium, it would have been pretty cool. I don't know why. I kind of like, even with COVID, I kind of wish it turned everyone into zombies and it'd be like The Walking Dead. It'd be so rad. Right?
No.
It'd be way more exciting. I don't have all those guns back there for nothing. I would have a crossbow though. I'd be like Daryl. I'd just be like,
I've never shot a crossbow. I've always wanted to do that.
I haven't.
Whenever
shot,
I think
like,
of a crossbow, I
gangster.
think of the Princess Diaries movie where like is it what I'm talking about?
James
Is
Bond.
is it Princess Diary?
I have no idea.
That like spoof movie that's like
I mean, the name of the movie sounds familiar. I don't know anything about it.
it's like kind of like Robin Hood-esque, but not. Am I like completely mixing titles again?
You could be. It's possible. Mixing things up in your head like numbers. Like he'd be like, yeah, it's like I'm trying to. Oh, my crazy. Yeah, it sounds just like Brandy. Where's my phone? It's ringing with a crazy ringtone. Sounds just like her. Don't tell her I said that. Don't tell Brandy.
But anyway, in there, they're like trying to assassinate someone, and it uses like a crossbow, but it's kind of like it's just a complete like comedy thing too. I could have sworn it's this movie, but
that's
anyways,
I don't know.
Ever since I saw that, I was like, I want a crossbow, but I've never shot one.
Travis, didn't you have a little crossbow when we were kids?
And you didn't kill him?
I haven't shot in like a super gangster like modern crossbow, and I'd love to. Actually, I really would like to do that. I need to do that. I might go buy one. Don't tell Alex.
Don't tell. We're gonna use it as a marketing expense, and
Yeah,
don't tell me.
definitely.
Mhm.
Gender reveal.
Oh, that's how you pop the balloon,
Crossbow.
because then you won't start
Forest fire with tannerite and stuff or something. Sounds like the world's about to go back into like some crazy lockdowns. How do you feel about that?
I don't feel good about it.
No, I can't.
I like being able to buy toilet paper, and I
cannot
like
believe
being
the
able
state of the world right now with like
I
COVID and the election, and this person says they won, this person says they won, they're calling them a cheater, they're saying there's no way. It's bonkers to me.
It is. I guess my personal beliefs just tend to err on the side of like what is the long-term effects, and I feel like we could all be smart about how we interact with with the virus, with the disease that is it considered a disease or just a virus? Okay, so with the virus that there isn't a vaccine, and we haven't really apparently seen it directly like it is, which is why it's spreading. But when it's not like smallpox, and again, I'm not trying to discount the value of any life that's been taken due to it, especially if they've had complications. But for me, it's kind of like I look at what are the overall impacts, and you start to look at, all right, how many tens of millions of kids now are just going to be like literally years and years behind on education because of everything that's been monkeyed up so far. Then you're like, how many kids? I think it's highlighted the fact that schools are doing a lot more than the schools were designed to do, meaning they were counselors for kids. They were a place that a lot of kids got food. It's easy for someone like me who I haven't had to worry about eating my entire life. There's been times where I was eating filet mignon. There's times that I was eating flank steak, but like I had food. Well, that's easy for me to be like, well, this is ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like we shut it down to keep everyone safe. And like, well, what about the kid that only got 2 meals a day because they got it from school? What about those hundreds of thousands of kids around the country? And then how many kids now are in environments where, so if they have to stay home, the parent isn't able to work, or the parent's working and now the kid's at home. So like, what kind of abuse stuff is going to happen or not happen? Like there's so many far-reaching implications that I think it's very, in my opinion, I feel like it's very naive to think that you can simply just be like, shut it down and let everyone let's let this calm down. That won't have far-reaching effects that you then have to balance. There's not a good answer.
No,
but you have to, in my opinion, you have to balance like, what is that?
What's the lesser of two evils?
In this risk, in my opinion, the lesser of two evils would be, let's be smart about stuff. I don't think we need to go probably having a rock concert. At least I wouldn't want to attend one personally. But I'm also going to be in an office around you and talk to you, and I'll wash my hands and I'll do all the hygienic stuff that needs to be done. But I'm just not one that wants to just so quickly give up my freedoms. And
yeah, you guys.
And what are the far-reaching implications of a lesser of two evil? Because there is no good answer, in my opinion. I mean, I got a 97-year-old grandmother who's like, I'm going to get my hair done because I don't want to get locked up. Because what's going to happen? I'm going to be that much more depressed, and I'm pretty much going to keel over and die. So I've made it 97 years. I want you to come. I want my great-grandchildren to give me a hug. And if my great-grandchild gives me the flu, let alone COVID, then guess what? So be it. And I was like, well, all right. Like, she's like, are you going to deny me? I was like, shit, Anna. No. Like, okay. She's like, I mean, I've lived long enough. I ain't going to go out without having you people come around me. I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
people in that position. My grandfather the same way. He's 99, and we went and saw him Sunday. My older brother was in town, and so he hasn't been here in a while, so we went to visit him, but we like did a big distance thing. We stood in the driveway. He sat on the porch, and like we tried to keep our distance, and because no one wants to be responsible for killing grandpa, and he doesn't want people that close anyway. So he has a different mentality of it. I'd be like your grandma, where I'd be like, I'm 99 years old. Like I ain't got but so much time anyway. So like, I'm not going to like be cooped up, like imprisoned in my own home, not doing things because of this. Like if this is what takes me out at 99 or 100 years old, like so be it. Screw it. Like that would be my approach.
Which again, you got to balance everyone's opinion, but that's what I just don't get. Even just about all the politics and the election
have your
stuff.
own opinion and deal with it your own way within some guidelines. I'm okay with some guidelines, but like you got California, it's like you can only have so many people at your house.
And again, I don't want to spread false rumors by any means, but like, and I don't know if the person that was telling me this was quasi making a joke, but they were almost saying like on Thanksgiving you need to like keep the blinds open, so like if patrol cars are going through, you can make sure that you don't have parties going on.
Hey, I saw
and like I was like, you know what, that kind of
memes.
Doesn't sound not plausible, but again, like I don't know if that's a fact.
I saw a funny meme. Actually, it was a video. It was like OJ Simpson. It was the Bronco being chased by the cops. It was like me leaving the store with a 25-pound turkey. I think Joe posted it from the barbershop.
Oh yeah.
He posts some funny stuff.
But it's just it's like everyone thinks there's some magical bullet that about every scenario in our country, and it's like
there's no easy
answer because if I say like let's go down the capitalism side, you're gonna be like, well, what about the people that aren't doing this? And then you could have the argument, well, like if I take all the risks, why would I get less money? Like if I want to give you some more money, then I can, but like I took all the risks. You know, like just like I mean, there's some basic needs that we can all kind of like come to terms on. I think a healthier society is a better society. I think more educated people in a society is better, but it's like you can't just be like this utopian, like, well, we have to do it this way. It's like it's gonna affect someone negatively.
Yeah.
So like I feel like everyone's like on either side is like, well, this is the only and the best and the right way. It's like, well, it depending on where you fall, it might be a little bit better for this group and a little bit better for this group. But everyone seems to just be like, phew, thinking that there's going to be like, this is the only right answer. Like, well, if we don't close things down, this stuff will keep spreading.
Well,
but if you
we'll
close
end up
things
with
down,
it's gonna you can
then
slow
what
it
are the
again.
implications going to be as well? So
You can slow it again, like we did with shutting things down initially, and then as things opened up, it spiked again. Like, what do you think is going to happen? Exact same scenario. We've already done this. We've already shut everything down.
well, now we have a magical vaccine.
Anyways,
So anyway, it's I find it very interesting that so many people are so quick to think that only their way is the right way, one, and then secondly that like again that one answer is going to be able to appease everyone.
and we're dealing with multiple separate issues too. It's like on top of a virus such as COVID, then we've got the political side of it with the election this year. I mean, it is like 2020 is just like the perfect storm of a shit show. I mean, it's just crazy. And I was going somewhere with that thought, but it's just it's the extreme thoughts that are wild. You know,
Well, so it's like people have forgot a little bit of like just empathy and not and like feeling. I mean, circling back to the beginning of the episode, like I'm walking slowly, and it'd be like someone coming up behind me and be like, "Get the fuck out the way!" And you're like, "Bro, like, I just had my nuts cut. Like, calm down. Like, I'm walking to check out at the grocery store. I'm sorry it's taking me an extra 4 seconds. Your life must be so freaking important that, like, cut in front of me then if you're that damn important. You know what I mean? So, but it's that kind of level of like almost like no one wants to take 2 seconds to understand what is might or might not have happened in someone else's life. It's like, nope, it's my way or the highway. Get out of my way. And it's like some people abuse it. Okay. You got a free handout and you keep getting free handouts, you abuse it. Like there are going to be people that abuse whatever it is. But it just seems like no one's taking the time to like just acknowledge that like you do realize like everyone's got their own things going on. Like, and I think holding people up away from human interaction, which is what as a species we're designed to do, is going to be fuel that negativity. Like collectively as a species, we have to have trust and we have to interact with people in order for our community to feel safe. Going back to my caveman analogy, thank you very much. If I went to go hunt, I needed to trust that my family back in the cave was going to be safe and that other people in the community were looking out for them. Now we don't have that.
Takes a village.
Exactly. It really does.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too, because you're talking about the grocery store and like people being impatient and all that kind of stuff. It goes back to some of the stuff, as you said, that I was having like flashbacks to some of our earliest episodes of the podcast, and like people having empathy of like not judging people. Remember we talked about before is like here's some woman who's like dealing with a kid in a certain kind of way at the grocery store and you're judging them as a parent, but it's like she's being impatient with her kid or acting a certain way or letting him drink the soda or whatever the case is. But it's like you don't know what that poor woman has been dealing with all day, all night. She didn't get any sleep last night, anything to stop this kid from crying, whatever. And here you are judging them. Yeah, it's kind of it made me think about.
Well, I mean, I think I saw some photo that like this woman put a note on the back of the kid's shirt because the kid had the mask like just over like the mouth and not the nose. And so many people are like, "What do you like? That's not how you wear a mask." And like, well, it's not. Like, yeah, you wonder why so many people get pregnant. You're like, oh, you don't know how to put a mask on. Maybe you probably don't know how to put a condom on because you actually need to cover your nose and mouth. Or you take it off to sneeze and then you put it back on because you don't want to sneeze into the mask. You're like, that's not the point. I know it's gross. That's
So
the point of the
that's why it's
mask.
there.
But the kid had like a severe breathing problem. And they were like, so she had to put a sign on. And I was like, hey, look, all you like, I was about to curse again, of like people. It's like if I put this mask on this kid probably is going to start to hyperventilate and then have problems breathing. And then we're going to have more problems. So guess what? I can't leave my kid in the car because the kid has problems. There's no one else at home to leave him with. So like I have to bring my kid into the grocery store. And now you're going to give me shit for bringing my kid into the grocery store because I actually need food to feed my family. But, you know, and it's a full circle. And you're like, y'all just need to calm down. Calmate, stay out of my way, stay in your own business. If it looks like I'm hurting myself, then come. Otherwise, like,
Let me go.
Just everyone needs a Valium.
Or Xanax or something.
Never had one of those.
Me neither. I haven't had any of those drugs. It's probably for good reason. I don't know. I don't feel like I need it. Although, you know, it was a really interesting conversation with Philip, the therapist. Is that episode going to be out? It's really good.
Oh, I was like, I didn't realize you were talking to a therapist, which is fine. But I was like, I'm not in the loop on what's going down.
Yeah. So we had a therapist on the show, and, you know, he talks a lot about all the stuff, and he deals with a lot of kids and anxiety and then the effects of COVID on people and all these things.
Oh yeah, like no one wants to talk about all the suicide rates.
I mean, it's just, you know, it's
disturbing.
It's super interesting stuff. But I got to talking to him about, you know, doctors that overprescribe stuff, and, you know, people who abuse it, and, you know, try like telling doctors kind of what you want them to hear in order to kind of manipulate your way through the system or whatever. So anyways, interesting stuff. And Xanax made me think about that because we were talking about it. But anyways, I keep bringing stuff up that I don't really have any real point to, so I apologize. But here I am, still chitter chattering away here. It's the lack of sleep I've had recently. God, I'm sleeping like shit.
Me too.
Oh.
But that's just because I can't turn over. There's nothing I hate more than wearing like the most tight supportive underwear that's known to man, and then laying on my back. I'm like, this just like I might as well be in a coffin. Like, this is just horrible.
Kill me now. No, I've slept like crap, and like if you look at like the sleep tracking from my watch,
and you can sleep with a watch.
I'm only wearing it to track the sleep.
Oh, I was like, that's just.
I used to not, because I used to wear an Apple Watch. I used to charge it every night. Well, this lasts like weeks and weeks. So
I just don't like.
I know I didn't either, but I got used to it. But I was trying to track my sleep because John told me I needed to, and Jade told me I needed to, and
right,
you know, whatever. But so, but yeah, I get like 3.5, 4 hours of sleep a night. Otherwise, I'm just like tossed and turned. I can't sleep, and then the hamster gets on the wheel, aka I start thinking about things. And I'm like screwed. It's like, well, 4 a.m. Here we are.
We've been getting into the 4 to 5 month sleep regression, where the baby moves out of that infant REM deep sleep always to more the adult sleep cycle, where you kind of go in and out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's been like waking himself up. He's been like the most magical, angelic child ever. And so now you're like, what's wrong with you? You're not being perfect.
Like,
but
this is a thing.
But yeah, it's just the thing. But anyways, it's been waking her up, and then the twins are back into like thankfully like we've gotten them out of like pull-ups, like, and they get out of bed and they go pee, and like in the middle of the night they'll just go back to sleep. But when it's about 5 to 6, they want to knock on my door and let me know. I'm like, bro, I got you. Go back to bed. Like, information not needed. So
it's so funny how they do that. I don't understand. Like, even Kendall does that. She's 6 and she'll be 7 in July. And like last night after dinner, she like comes running in my room like there was a freaking emergency. I'm like, what? She's like, I really need to go to the bathroom. I'm like, then go. Like,
I mean, is that some training from like school where it's like, hey,
I don't know.
You know, like you're always asking for permission to like go to the bathroom.
She
doesn't. I mean, my kids aren't in that. They just.
I know, but it's just like, I'm like, what? And it's not all the time, but like randomly, she just came in freaking out to tell me that she had to go to the bathroom. I'm like, Then go. What are you waiting for? Go.
There's one here. There's one
There's
here.
3
there's one there.
bathrooms
You
up
go,
here.
I
What are
mean,
you
go
doing?
outside. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But,
Girls don't do that so much.
Oh, sorry. That's what we do every morning. Just like redneck. Just like stand out there and like all of a sudden all 3 kids drop trout and like pee off the driveway. Like I'm like just waiting for my neighbors to drive by and be like, oh. Okay.
You need to put them in some cowboy hats with like a beer in their hand.
My kids love beer.
I don't
not
know
gonna
if
lie.
you should tell the world that.
Well, no, I mean, like they like take my Corona, like or take like a sip or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I remember drinking beer once when I was like
last week to cut you off because I'll forget.
Yeah.
the letter of the week at school, I believe, was a V. No, we were talking about what is next week's letter going to be, and so we're going down the list of like what letters have they not done. And they're like, I was like, what about V? And they're like, no, we haven't done V yet. And I was like, well, what would you say? And without driving to beat, and he goes like, Vino. I'm like, yes, I like you.
What's Vino?
Wine.
Oh, yeah, Vino.
They're always like, Nico's like, yeah, rosé all day, Dad. All right, son, I'm gonna have to keep an eye on you when you're about 16.
Yeah.
All right, good to know.
Yeah, man, oh man, yeah. I drank a beer, or I had a drink of a beer once. I very vividly remember on a boat when I was probably 3 or 4. I'm sure it was my dad's. Maybe it was my grandfather's. I don't really know. I think there's a picture of it, actually, now that I recall this. Maybe that's why I have such a vivid memory of it, because there's a photo of it. Because I wouldn't have been old. I was probably like 3.
It's probably the photo, but I had those same moments where you're like, oh yeah, this time and I did this, and they're like, yeah, you were 2. That's just a photo. You're like, oh.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is my kids seem to have memories of things. I'm like, how the hell do you remember that? And I think a lot of it is because so much is captured as images these days. Like
yeah,
we had photo albums, right? That were like, these are the only pictures of you as a child. There's 50 of them in this book. Cherish this forever. I've got like thousands of photos of my kids that I'm like, yeah, there's like a phone full of photos of my kids. Big deal. You know what I mean? And it's such a different time and age. It's really interesting because, again, it's like I only have that memory because of that photo. If that photo didn't exist, I never saw it. That's not a thing that I wouldn't remember that.
Though you try to get them to go do something and all of a sudden they magically forget.
Yeah.
Whoa. So you remember that from like 7 years ago, but you
forgot what cleaning your room means.
Exactly. Didn't I tell you that last night and the night before and the night before? Gotta love parenting. Just like, it's like just, what's that? Rinse something, repeat. What's
rinse and repeat?
Is that it? Is that easy? That easy? Rinse and repeat. I thought there was like a whole like little jingle with it.
I don't know. Rinse and repeat. That's all I know. Rinse, repeat. Rinse, recycle, repeat. Or something. I don't know. Anyways. All right. I think that's about enough. Guys, make sure you're following my YouTube channel. We're doing some like vlog type stuff around the family and the baby and all that stuff. If you want to follow along on that journey, that's where it's at. We'll put a link in the description here. Otherwise, thanks for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave the ratings, comments, reviews, all the different things. We'd appreciate it. I'm gonna go get swole at the gym. Try not to injure myself anymore. See you in the next episode. Peace.